Hey guys, this is Jay Calderon with Jay Unboxing here, giving my prediction for the highly anticipated showdown between Mexicans Miguel Berchelt and Oscar Valdez. And of course, before we get into it, just remember this is only my take. Your take can be left down in the comments, and I'd love to hear it. But this is a great fight, as mentioned, between two junior lightweights. The champion, of course, is Berchelt, defending his title against Valdez at the MGM Grand Conference Center in Las Vegas. This is on Saturday, of course, February 20th, airing on ESPN. And it's a very promising fight based on styles, what's on the line, the fact that they're both active fighters within the primes of their career. Definitely can be an action fight, and one that has a chance of being a fight of the year candidate, which of course you gotta love. And so really nothing, including the fighting styles of these two Mexicans, should stop them from being really being able to put on a great fight. So let's get into it. In terms of what I believe the fighters need to win, we'll start with Berchelt here. I think he has a solid jab, but Valdez is a little quicker with his. So he will need to double his own to offset the speed difference and set up his own combinations, which Berchelt does like to throw. But because he's a little slower, as mentioned, offsetting that speed with double jabs and committing a little bit more to his own more powerful shots will probably do him best in the fight. And Valdez isn't a huge puncher, but he can accumulate enough damage to stop you. So what Berchelt needs to do is he needs to make sure that he gives Valdez every reason to question throwing so many shots, especially early on, because he is the faster-handed fighter. Berchelt's probably the heavier-handed fighter. So if he can use that power to make him question his own offense, that gives him all the more chance to stop him late in the fight. But of course, and I must mention this, he can't get carried away with those combos too early. He's got to He's got to let that build as the fight builds, because again, with the speed differential here, that could be something that leads him to running into a problem. Just let it build as the fight builds, work your way into it, and ultimately those opportunities will arise if you're doing the right things by jabbing properly, double jabbing, making sure that you're keeping your punches a little bit shorter than normal, and making sure you're defensively responsible. For Valdez, he needs to use that speed, and he needs to land first and often. Again, he is a guy who probably needs to take a few whacks at the tree before it falls down, so he can't just rely on that single punch power. He's got a good solid pop in his punch, but it's not, that kind of, mind-altering, life-shattering power. So he needs to make sure that he lands, 2 to 3 versus the 1 from Berchelt. And being the quicker fighter, that only counts if he stays more at range and keeps Berchelt at a distance until he's ready to engage, when he wants to. Again, engaging in a war for either of these guys is probably going to be a lot more conducive to a fight that's tougher for either. So they both, for different reasons, need to make sure that they're fighting when they want to. For Berchelt, it's because he needs to take his time wearing down his man, and for Valdez, it's he has to make sure he's not getting worn down. The exchanges can pay off. Again, I don't want to say that they can't exchange, and especially for Valdez, especially with those faster hands. But that's only if Valdez keeps his shots tight and straight. If he goes a little wild with those hooks and really makes it a more even playing field for Berchelt, who probably does have the heavier hands, it becomes a fight that I think tips in Berchelt's favor. And this, like I said, is one of the toughest fights of this weekend to pick. It's a very interesting one, like I said, but it's one where if you made a pick either way, I could definitely see it going one versus the other. So on the one hand, the speed and movement of Valdez can be a very reasonable path to victory. His shots travel straighter lines, and he has, like I said, some solid pop. However, the power shots of Berchelt could wear Valdez down and close the gap, especially late, considering if I had to say out of the two, who's been in more wars, it would probably be Valdez. So my hunch is the wear and tear on Valdez from previous fights ultimately catches up with him and allows Berchelt's pressure to earn himself a late stoppage, using right hands and a consistent attack to the body. It will be something he will have to build towards, because he might even have to rally from behind, but I am picking Berchelt via late round stoppage. Betting odds for this fight are pretty good, actually. Berchelt is a solid favorite. He's landing at 340, which is a bit surprising because I do think Valdez deserves a little more credit than that. So while if you're picking like I am Berchelt, you don't have a great deal of action. If you have Valdez as a pick that you think is reasonable, I mean, you're getting him at plus 300 odds. So 3 to 1 is never a bad thing, especially for what I would consider a very live underdog. But anyway, let me know down in the comments what you think. Would love to hear your thoughts, predictions, bets, so on and so forth. Anything else you got going on in terms of action. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow on Twitter, J Calderon _JOB, email onboxing@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you. And until then, see you next time.